in this evening, magnificent evening, that we would like to, in which we would like to dedicate our hearts to the divine feminine, to the qualities of Divine Mother present in all hearts, men and women. And we're talking about wonderful qualities, about acceptance, forgiveness, trust, humility. We will find that as we go on, move on during this evening, all the potentials that we have in our hearts. And this evening, therefore, wants to be, as a whole, an unceasing prayer to the Divine Mother. Help us to manifest Thee. Help us to be with Thee in everyone. And I wish you a wonderful evening. It will be a little bit in Italian and a little bit in English, because we know that many people are listening, are with us from all over Europe. We have here a part of our community choir. Of course, we cannot be with a complete choir, but with our hearts, we're all here. Darshan is doing the translation. Ruby and Ravi are giving technical support, and Jivanta also, she's still using the camera. Again, have a wonderful evening.
Will be open to God in your life. When you have that understanding, you can open yourself to the infinite compassion and forgiveness of God as Divine Mother, and you can develop those qualities in yourself. That's why it's necessary to forgive other people, because in that forgiveness, you too become softer. It's as though you have got this little seed that can't grow because it's had concrete poured on it. You have to break up that concrete so the seed can grow. You have got that seed of divinity within you, but all this concrete of ego, desires, self-importance, and strain to reach for things blocks its growth. In this world, we are trained to think we must fight and compete for what we get. We need to think of God in such a way as to give us a sense of confidence that she is on our side. We need to think of God as mother, and to think of that mother aspect as an ideal of feminine qualities, not the emotions, but that calm, always forgiving and accepting energy. It's easier to define this as feminine rather than as masculine energy. Finally, we need to realize ourselves as both feminine as well as masculine.
In the world today, there is an imbalance in favor of masculine energy, too much logic and too little love. Dependence on rules, but too little emphasis on mercy. Stress on aggressive power and worldly importance, but too little on service and humility. Although these have greater, though subtle power, for they can influence people to want to change, and are more important also in the eyes of God. Women instinctively feel the need for correcting this imbalance. The Divine Mother, then, is a concept that can change the world, and in a way that is desperately needed. Worship of the Divine Mother, human-like in a sense, but also formless and infinite, can inspire sweetness once again in the human heart. It can bring humanity back to that vitality-needed balance, without which the world already invites its own destruction. The Divine Mother is that aspect of God which the planet most needs today. We need to bring love back again, unconditional, trusting, self-giving love, a love that asks nothing in return, but that gives of itself generously, freely, and forever. Such, surely, more than any other human feeling, is mother love. The power of a saint's devotion. I remember a saint I used to visit in India. The first time I went to see him, I had to wait quietly, for he said, "I'm talking to Divine Mother." He was so great and yet so gentle and childlike. His whole countenance shone with the love of the Divine Mother. When I was in his presence, those vibrations were overwhelming. Whenever I saw him talking to Divine Mother, I felt 1,000 million times more love in my heart than that which I felt for my earthly mother, whom I dearly loved. The emotion is indescribable. I felt I could not exist another moment without my Divine Mother. One day I said, "How is it you are communing with Divine Mother and I cannot? Please ask her if she loves me. I must know. I do not feel the love of the Divine Mother now. I must have her. I must know if she loves me." I kept on insisting for a long time, until finally the saint said, "All right, I will ask her." And you know, that night I had a great experience. I cherished it silently within myself. 1 or 2 days afterwards, I went to the saint, and again I saw those upturned eyes wandering in the jungles of the infinite. So I asked, "What did Divine Mother say about me?" He replied, "Naughty sir, mischievous little sir." "What did Divine Mother say?" I persisted. "You promised me. What did she say?" Still he repeated only, "Mischievous little sir." I know he could see through me and realized that I was hiding my thoughts in order to see if the experience I had had was real. And still I went on, "You promised me. Why is it you saints always speak mysteriously and mystify?" Then he replied, "You come to test me?" That is not right. Didn't Divine Mother come to you the other night in the form of a most beautiful mother and say, Yogananda, I love you always? I didn't know what to do with myself. I was so filled with the nectar of joy. I had meditated all day long until I heard the answer, and then, when I went to the saint and heard those same words from him, what could I think? Only one thing. My mother had truly responded. When this saint used to talk, he was just like a little child. In the glittering of those eyes was the shining of Divine Mother's eyes. Everyone that will seek her will find her, he said, but one has to make the effort. Every time I think of him, my whole soul becomes enraptured and my heart becomes so filled with love that I cannot speak. He told me my master would come later on. Meanwhile, he gave me the devotional aspect of God, whereas my master later gave me the wisdom aspect. That combination provided what I needed, the complete Father-Mother manifestation of God. This evening, I would like to share with you something personal. It is about a period of my life, probably the most difficult period in my life. And in this circumstance, I understood what it means when there is a thunder with a cloudless sky. I never really understood what it meant, but this circumstance in my life may help me to understand that Italian saying. Many years ago, my relationship from one day to the other broke up in a way that was for me completely a complete surprise. I wasn't prepared to face this situation. This situation then helped me to realize and to experiment that a deep, intense pain brings with itself the great danger that the heart becomes hard, that the heart closes. And in my case, the development of a mistrust towards people and towards relationships in general. I was able to perceive clearly the fine line between anger, a sense of humiliation, a sense of disappointment, and at the same time the need for the soul to expand in spite of everything. I had the deep grace, at least for me, that is how I lived it, connected with my firm decision and will not to surrender to anger and not allow resentment enter my heart. Daily, I had to work hard to prevent that from happening. But thanks to the possibility of singing the devotional chants and my own intense requests and prayers, I have been able to overcome this karmic test very speedily. And this moment in my life, in this moment of my life, from this moment, what has remained is a sense of deep gratitude for that deep experience that I lived, that even 15 years later, I still consider to be one of the most important lessons in my life. Buonasera amici.
And this is a treat because I get to speak in English tonight. And I'd like to share with you a little bit about intuition. Yogananda said that his definition of intuition is the power of the soul to know God, to know truth directly. And for us to develop our relationship with God and our relationship with the Divine Mother, it is the most essential, the most important part we need to develop. In fact, Swami Kriyananda once said that intuition is everything on the spiritual path. Because without intuition, we are not able to perceive who we truly are, and we are not able to attune ourselves with the presence of God. And I remember a story that Anand once told me, Swami Anand. He said that in Swamiji's house here in Assisi, they were talking, and it was an important moment in Swami's life. There was a big decision he needed to make, and that a big decision that he made. And as they were talking, Anand at a certain point said, "Swami, did you ask Master about this?" And Swami stopped, and he said, he was a little bit surprised, and he said, "I never do anything without receiving Master's inner approval." And I reflected on that many times, because I'm sure that Swami oftentimes would actually ask Divine Mother, he would ask Master what to do. But even more so, I think he tried constantly to live in contact with that inner presence. He tried to live listening, with an attitude of listening, with an attitude of receptivity, trying to continuously feel and hear that inner voice. So I don't think he always necessarily stopped and asked, but I think any thought that came to his mind, any feeling that came, any new idea, he would always try and relate that idea to that inner presence, Divine Mother's presence, Master's presence. And if he felt that it was in tune with that inner presence, he would go forward. In fact, someone once told me in India that they asked him to guide the prayer at the beginning of a meditation. And his comment was, I have not prayed with words for many, many years. Because it was a constant inner state of consciousness, constant inner attitude of just being open to listen. And I think the beautiful thing in our life is that the more we learn to live in that way, the more we try to listen in every moment to what is Divine Mother trying to say, what is Divine Mother trying to guide us to do, the more we realize that not only does she help us when we need help, when it's something important, when we are in danger, when there's a catastrophe all around us, like in this moment, but we also realize that even in moments that are not so important, she's always there. That guidance is always there. In fact, I remember when Mahia and I, my wife and I, got married in this temple, which was 2012, which is now actually quite a few years ago already. Before the wedding, we were meditating in a small room downstairs in Swami Mandir, who, for those of you who know the temple. And we both felt a very, very deep blessing. We both felt a very deep stillness. And after the meditation, as we were walking out, we walked out of the temple and took the stairs up to enter into the temple from outside. And at the top of the stairs was a friend of ours, Andrea Roach, who was the photographer for the wedding, and she was taking a lot of photos. And as we were walking, we were both just remained centered inside, really trying to perceive, to remain in contact with that divine presence. And at a certain point, just as we were passing our friend who was taking the photos, I literally heard a voice, and I'm not someone who hears voices, so it's not something that I can't say it happened twice, but I literally heard a voice that said, "Turn around, this is going to be a great photo." So I did it. I just turned around and I smiled, and she took a photo in that exact moment. And so we did the whole wedding, and it was a wonderful blessing on many, many levels. But I remember that out of about 3,000 photos that she took, many, many people said that that photo was their favorite photo. And in fact, when we went to visit both my parents and Mahia's parents, they both had developed that photo and framed it. Because everyone could feel that there was something more to the photo. It was a nice photo, but it wasn't the photo in itself that was important or that was beautiful. And the thing that really touches me also in Swami's life is to really see that the more we deepen that relationship, the more we see that Divine Mother is always with us, even in moments where it really doesn't seem like it is important. It is only important because it helps us to open our hearts even more deeply.
Voglio condividere con voi I want to share with you this evening a chapter out of the autobiography of a yogi from Paramahansa Yogananda, chapter 22, and it's called The Heart of a Stone Image. I want to, before I read the chapter I chose, which is an experience from Yogananda, and Ramakrishna and the Divine Mother. So the story Yogananda tells in this chapter is about his sister, his older sister Roma. She was married, and her husband was not on the spiritual path at that moment, and he was making fun actually of Roma and also of Mukunda in this period, because they were following gurus and they were visiting temples, etc. And so she was really, she didn't know anymore what to do. She tried to change his mind, she tried to convince him, but it wasn't possible. So she went to Mukunda and she asked him to help her. And Yogananda told her that he will help her, even if he didn't know what to do in this moment. But after thinking a while, he came up with an idea. So he thought he will invite both of them for a pilgrimage to go in the temple of Kali in 𝗔𝗓𝗩𝗓, which is, I guess, in the north of Calcutta. So, but this is not the story I want to tell. I want to tell or read about Yogananda's experience in this pilgrimage with the Divine Mother. So, and I will read that to you. I continued alone towards the hall with the pillars that is located in front of the great temple of Kali, or Mother Nature. After finding a shady spot next to one of the pillars, I assumed the lotus posture. Also, it was not yet 7 in the morning. The sun would soon be oppressive. The world disappeared as I entered into devout ecstasy. My mind was focused on the goddess Kali, whose image in 𝗔𝗓𝗩𝗓 had been the object of special adoration by the great master Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa. In response to his heartfelt pleas, the stone image in that same temple had often taken on a living form and conversed with him. Silent Mother, with a heart of stone I prayed. Thou didst fill thyself with life at the invocation of thy beloved devotee Ramakrishna. Why dost thou not hearken to the lamentos of this other thy son, who pines for thee? My adore grew infinitely, accompanied by a divine peace. However, when 5 hours had passed without the goddess I was inwardly visualizing giving any response, I felt rather discouraged. Sometimes the delay in answering a prayer is a divine proof. To the devotee who perseveres, however, God finally manifests himself in whatever form is dear to him. Reluctantly, I opened my eyes and saw that the temple doors were being locked by the priest, as it was custom at noon. I got up from the secluded spot where I had been sitting under the colonnade of the hall and took my first step into the courtyard. The stone floor was hot under the midday sun. My bare feet burned painfully. Divine Mother, I silently protested, you did not come to me in vision and now remain hidden in the temple behind closed doors. Today I wish to address a special prayer to you for my brother-in-law. The inner plea was answered instantly. First, a pleasant wave of coolness flowed down my back and under my feet, dissolving all discomfort. Then, to my amazement, the temple was enlarged out of all proportions. Its imposing door opened slowly, revealing the stone stature of the goddess Kali. Gradually, she turned into a living form that smiling, nodding its head in greeting, filling me with indescribable joy. As if by a mystical serene, the breath was drawn from my lungs. My body became very quiet, so not inert. An ecstatic expansion of consciousness followed. I could see distinctly for many miles across the Ganges, to the left and beyond the temples throughout the entire 𝗓𝗓𝗩𝗓 area. The walls of all the buildings glowed transparently. Through them I could see people walking back and forth at great distance. Spiritual sight, similar as X-rays, penetrates all matter. The divine eye is the center everywhere, a non-existent circumference. Once again I realized, standing there in that sunny courtyard, that when man chooses to be a prodigal son of God, absorbed in a physical world that is in fact only a dream, as spaceless as a bubble, he inherits its eternal realms once more. If the tendency to escape is a need of man, imprisoned in his own narrow personality, what escape can ever compare with the majesty of omnipresence?
I'm here now to stimulate your chakras. Thank you. So people talk a lot about chakras and how you sing in the chakras. But really, of a truth, whatever it is that we do with our voice, speaking or singing, whatever sound or noise that we perceive, in somehow our chakras are being stimulated. There's nothing in this universe that does not stimulate our chakras. There are methods, certainly, to sing the sounds of Om in the chakras that are precise notes, but I think that 80% of the people is not able really to sing these songs, these sounds, because he doesn't know how to do it. And so they don't sing Om in the chakras. And that is really a pity, because truly it is a beautiful, deep practice. So tonight now, we're going to do some exercises for all those who think that they are not singing in tune, that believe they cannot sing, who have no idea where to start from, and maybe they don't even have an instrument at home with which they can help themselves. So if you want, try to stand up, stretch a little bit, because like with every practice, having a body that is awake, maybe someone of the choir can be behind me here, so that you don't need to look only at me, which would be a little boring. It's important to live in the awareness that the chakras are like a knot of vibrations that are stimulated by what we do or what others do in our presence. And so it's not so important that we really take the right note, because this can frighten many people, but that is not the case. But because there are various methods to sing in the chakras. So if someone knows the scale well, and we will do it after 5 minutes, as Swami has taught us, many people maybe know that this scale is different from other scales. So what I would like to do with you tonight is to do a very simple exercise of which no one ever can say that he's not able to do it. And it works on the chakras. This is an effect on the chakra, because through the chakras, it goes through the chakras, and it centers the note. And that the real singing in tune is not necessary. You can do that later. But nothing must stop you from having this experience. So all those who sing out of tune just have the power, the courage to do it. It's an act of willpower, and maybe it will sound a bit funny, but it's only the first time it seems strange. And today is the right day to do things for the first time. So, very simple. For the boys it's easier, because they would be fire brigades, but with the voice you want to do a sound like that. The most important thing is that your feet are really rooted in the floor, and that they sustain this work that you're doing. And once more. Once you're used to it, you can also close your eyes, because you don't need to see anything. And try to feel what happens in your body when you're doing this exercise. And use every inch of your voice to do this exercise. Now the opposite. more time. So, always try to stop at the highest note, not the lowest one. This is the simplest exercise that we can do to start moving the energy in our spine, and that will go through all the chakras. Another simple exercise is to use some vowels. Try to use an A, and try to feel where this sound, where you can feel this. Again. Maybe the first time when you do this, it's not so obvious, but if you try it every day a little bit, even before you meditate, you create these sounds and you create an awareness of the fact that you are stimulating your sushumna, the spine, and without worrying about, is this right, is this the fourth chakra, or is the sixth chakra, just start, get the energy moving. The more you relax, the more you open the heart as you do this, the more gradually you will perceive these things in your body. So when you change vowel, and see how that feels, you do the E, we sing E sounds. What is interesting about this exercise is that if you meditate in the morning and you cannot sing because other family members are still asleep, you can do this exercise also just mentally, and you will find that the perception, the inner perception of what goes on in the body is exactly the same as when you sing it out loud. Maybe it takes a little time, but between these two vowels, the difference between the ah sound in the heart and the E in the spiritual eye is very obvious. So most people will manage after a few times to perceive this change. So there is no reason on earth why for which you will not use your voice to do these exercises. They're very useful even before you do anything else, any other form of concentration. Just do this exercise, even only mentally, and you will find that how it helps you to focus your mind and to stay concentrated. Now we will finish this short moment with the 𝗔𝗜𝗩𝗘 of Swami that I will now accompany you with on the harmonium. I would like to remind you, there is a CD where you can follow all these exercises to sing in each chakra. that you can buy at Ananda Edizioni. Very useful, and we made it especially for you with a group of people to learn how to find the right notes. Now that we have warmed up our voices and our chakras, let's do at least one song together. Because chanting, singing is one of the most immediate, powerful ways to develop devotion. In fact, Swami Kriyananda tells us that when he came as a young man to Yogananda, his guru, that Yogananda would always encourage him to develop devotion. You must develop devotion. You must get devotion. And all those who knew Swami towards the end of his life, and all those who have seen him on the screen, on videos, know that he had such a deep devotion that just naming the name of the Master or the Divine Mother would touch him to tears. What he said is that one of the most important ways to develop devotion is by chanting. He said that sometimes he would sing one song for an hour or two unceasingly without stopping until he could feel his deep devotion. So we will now sing for 2 hours as well. I'm joking, of course. even though we do only one chant, try to do it in the same way as we've just sung with the chakras. Try to stimulate consciously the energy in the chakras and to offer it up through the body.
Adesso rimanendo in questa energia di devozione vogliamo fare la offerta, la cerimonia che sicuramente tanti di voi avete già visto e già fatto tante volte, ma quello che vogliamo fare è farlo in un modo ancora più profondo, perché tutte queste cerimonie, l'offerta del fiore, l'offerta della candela, che fanno parte delle cerimonie sacre da migliaia di anni, sono state create come un simbolo, ma ancora più di un simbolo come una esperienza diretta. Così era un'esperienza di una realtà interiore che poi è stata espressa con un simbolo esteriore. E così man mano che noi cantiamo e man mano che offriamo i fiori all'altare, voi potete fare la stessa cosa, offrire una candela, offrire un fiore che avete alla Madre Divina e cercate veramente di sentire, di infondere questo fiore, questa candela con la devozione, con la parte più profonda che avete, e cercate di veramente offrirla in questa presenza che è onnipresente. L'altare di questa presenza è dappertutto.
This altar is really omnipresent.
Kali Om Kali Om Om Kali Om Kali Om Om Kali Om Kali Om Kali Om Om Kali Om Kali Om Om Kali Om Kali Om Kali Om Om Kali Om Kali Om Om Kali Om Kali Om Kali Om 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 Kali Om Om Kali 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 Om Kali
with open heart. Now let's try together to visualize. So please sit quietly, keep your spine straight. Rest your hands on your thighs, the palms up, and close your eyes. Try to rock left and right slightly and feel lightness. We are now going to travel. We are setting off on a journey. We are in a green meadow with many little white daisies. In the distance we see the horizon, hills, high mountains, and the sky is blue. There is a slight breeze, and a perfume of spring is in the air. Let's now breathe with the heart. This beauty, this peace. And let's then turn around. And behind us there is a wood, a forest. And we go there, following the path. You can hear our footsteps, the singing birds, the insects zooming, and a light that comes through all the branches, and the breeze is moving the leaves. And as we walk through the forest, we are still breathing with our hearts, and we feel this calmness, this beauty, all this openness. And following the path, we get to a little stream, and the stream is merrily going there in many little waterfalls with crystal clear water. And we then take that water in our hands and we drink out of our hands some of that water. It is refreshing, regenerating. We breathe with the heart, the purity of this water, its humility, its fluidity. And again, we breathe with the heart. And then we move on. Now, the path goes upwards, and we get to an open place. And in this 𝗓, there's a beautiful bubble of light that calls to us, telling us, come close. A sphere of light, and so we get closer. We touch it, and we enter into this luminous sphere. It is our home. We feel that we are welcome, that we are loved unconditionally. And once more, let's breathe with our hearts and feel this love of Divine Mother that loves us exactly as we are. There is no condemnation, no judgment, only love. And let's allow ourselves to flow in our Mother's arms, that is cuddling us, that is listening to us, who is receiving us. And in this place, in this luminous sphere, we can always reach her every time we have need. We need to rest our hearts in the arms of our Divine Mother. But all this love, these waves of bliss that we are feeling, they want to expand our hearts. They want our heart to expand. They want to expand this luminous sphere. And as channels, we can pass this love on to whoever is close to us, our friends, our relatives, our enemies, all creatures on this planet, be they animals, plants, rocks. This sphere filled with light that is our expanding light now, a heart that now expands all over the planet and goes beyond this wave of love, pushes further and begins to embrace the whole infinite universe. And we are this infinite. We are this love. Always exist, self-existing. The wave continues to expand, but once it is set off, it cannot stop. It has to continue, and we know that we can always come back into this space of reception, of welcome, whenever we need it. And now, with this heart that breathes the love of Divine Mother, let's now walk out of this sphere of light and again go back along that path that takes us into the forest, that takes us to the streamlet, and then we get back to the meadow. let's allow ourselves to be filled with what we have felt, this great expansion, this trust, this peace. And now, let's move our feet, our hands. Let's slightly move our heads slowly. And do not open your eyes yet. Because as we breathe with our heart, we will listen to a song. The text is from Swami, and it will be sung by Gopala and Tantra, dedicated to the Divine Mother. The music was written by 𝗟𝗜𝗩𝗘, Divine Mother.
Divine Mother, she who made the universe. Yes, it's she, the Divine Mother, ruler of every heart's desire. Love more ancient, bliss eternal, may our hearts soon be merged in thee. 𝗖𝗘𝗟𝗓𝗓 la Divina Madre, creatrice dell'universo. 𝗖𝗘𝗟𝗓 la Divina Madre, regna sui desideri d'ogni cuor. Amor sempre, gioia eterna, il nostro cuor si immerge in te. Amor sempre, gioia eterna, il nostro cuor si immerge in te.
Vorrei chiamare
Now I
tutti i
would
partecipanti
like to ask
in
all
modo
the
da salutare
participants to
tutti
come
voi a
here
casa
so that we can all together
con un
greet you
namaste,
at home
ringraziandovi di
with
essere stati
saying
con noi.
namaste, pranaming,
Vi auguro di
thanking you for
portare la
having
Madre
been with
Divina
us. I
nel vostro
wish for you
cuore,
that you can keep the Divine Mother in your
di
heart,
addormentarvi tra le sue braccia
that you will fall asleep in her arms,
e di sentire il suo amore
and that you may feel
sempre,
her
in ogni
heart
momento della vostra
always,
vita.
in each moment of your life. Thank you all.
Grazie a voi,
Grazie.
buona serata, buonanotte.
And have a wonderful
Namaste.
evening. Good night.